begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Wa ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to another lesson. Inshallah ta'ala. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we send peace and blessings to our holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to his family, and to all of those who have followed him in goodness and in khair. Inshallah ta'ala, we're continuing our lesson of Mukhtasar Abu Shuja. Today we will be using our book here, inshallah, to further understand how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, on the previous lesson, we stopped when we were speaking about al-ightisalat al-masnuna, which are the days or the reason that it is sunnah to take a bath or to shower. So first we'll begin by explaining that it is always good for a Muslim to be clean, to be pure, to take a bath every single day. But in these moments, it's even more recommended. So the first is ghusl yawm al-jum'ah. First reason that we see here is called ghusl yawm al-jum'ah. What does this mean? This basically means that before we go for Salat al-Jum'ah, it is something that we should do. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, من توضأ إلى صلاة الجمعة فبها ونعمة ومن اغتسل فالغسل أفضل. The Prophet said, whoever makes wudu to go to Jum'ah, then it is a blessing, and whoever takes the bath, then that is better. This is further emphasized in another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that the ghusl of the day of Jum'ah, the Prophet said the ghusl yawm al-Jum'ah wajibun ala kulli muhtalam, that the bath, the ghusl in the day of Jum'ah is obligatory upon every person who is baligh, who has entered puberty. This is because Jum'ah is obligatory to this person. Now, this refers to those people who go to Salat al-Jum'ah. This obligation is also extended to women. If women go to Salat al-Jum'ah, then they should take a bath. Sorry, it's not an obligation, but it's a very, very strong recommendation. And also for men as well. And I believe we spoke that this refers to when we go to Salat al-Jum'ah right before it. So we shouldn't take a bath at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we go to Salat al-Jum'ah at like 12 or at 1 or at 2 or whenever it is in your city. So the closer we take the ghusl to Salat al-Jum'ah, the better it is. The same works for Salat al-Eid. It's the same thing as Jum'ah, because Jum'ah is basically a mini Eid, as we know, and as the narrations have told us. Salat al-Istisqa, this is when we go and we ask for rain. This is the Salat al-Istisqa, the Salat when we ask for rain. Wa Salat al-Khusuf, this is Khusuf and Khusuf are the salawat that we do when there is an eclipse, when there is a solar or a lunar eclipse. Then we should also take a bath before going to these salats. Wa ghusl man ghasala mayyit, this is whoever gives somebody a bath, then that person should also take a bath afterwards. It's mustahab, it's recommended. وَالْكَافِرُ إِذَا أَسْلَمَ, and the kafir, when he becomes a Muslim, it is also sunnah for him to take a bath. وَالْمَجْنُونَ وَالْمُغْمَى عَلَيْهِ إِذَا آفَقَ. So when a person loses his senses, has a psychotic attack, has a schizophrenic attack, or just loses conscience completely. Now this person, after regaining conscience, he should also, it is sunnah for this person to take a bath. وَالْغُسُلُ عِنْدَ الْإِحْرَامِ, when you wear your ihram, it is also a sunnah to take a bath. وَالْغُسُلُ when you are entering Mecca, when you go to Arafah, when you stay in Muzdalifah, basically on the rituals of Hajj. These are days that you should take a bath. It's just that when you are in the rituals of Hajj, in the state of Ihram, you are not to use anything with a scent, anything that is scented. So after this brief summary, we're now moving on to our next topic, which is al-mashu ala al-khuffayn. Al-mashu ala al-khuffayn. I'm looking for a pen here, and I don't know if the software has a pen. I don't see it, but I will try further, inshallah, to see so that I could write over the notes. But khairan, inshallah. So we're speaking about mas'al al-khuffayn. So this basically refers to mas'h is to wipe your hand, to wipe your wet hand over khuffayn. Khuffayn are socks. Khuffayn refer to socks made of leather. These socks are thick, they're made of leather, and they do not allow the passage of water through the sock. So this means that when the sock gets into contact with the water will not be able to touch your foot. It will not penetrate the sock. Why? Because it's made of leather. Since it's made of leather, it means it's hard. It's different than the socks made of wool. So khuffayn refers to leather socks that do not allow the passage of water through them. And then we have jawrabayn. Jawrabayn refer to wool socks that allow the passage of water through them. Both of these are socks. And both of these are included in mas'al al-khuffayn. So even though the narrations of the Prophet ﷺ say khuffayn, jawrabayn, wool socks are also included. As the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum also used to use their jawarib, their socks, their wool socks, which allow the passage of water. They would use these socks and they would make wudu over them. So basically we are learning how to make wudu with our socks without removing socks. So making wudu by wiping them over the socks. And we learned this with a hadith. And there's a Sahaba called Al-Mughira ibn Shu'ba. He was with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet was making wudu. And then he said, فَأَنْزَلْتُ لِأَنْزِعَ خُفَّيْهِ. And Mughira ibn Shu'ba, he bent down so that he could remove the socks the Prophet ﷺ was wearing, the khuffayn that the Prophet was wearing. And the Prophet said, دَعْهُمَا فَإِنِّي أَدْخَلْتُهُمَا طَاهِرَتَيْن. The Prophet said, leave them on, because when I wore them, they were pure, referring to his feet. Or meaning, when the Prophet wore those socks, his feet were pure, were in the state of tahara. So therefore, there is no need to remove the socks. And the Prophet wiped over his socks, his khuffayn. So this is how we know that it is permissible for a Muslim to do wudu with his socks on. He doesn't need to remove the socks, he just wipes over his feet. Although there are conditions. Okay, and this is what we're going to be studying today. So the first one is أن يبتدئ لبسهما بعد كمال الطهارة. So the first condition for you to wipe your socks, wipe over your socks when you are doing wudu, is that you must wear those socks whilst you had tahara, whilst you were in a state of tahara. When you wear your socks in a state of tahara, meaning that firstly you do your wudu, your normal wudu, you wash your feet, okay, normally. And after you do that, you wear your socks. Of course, after you dry your feet, or else you might get athlete's foot and other type of funguses, which are not good. So you make wudu, you wash your feet, okay, dry them off nicely, and then you wear your socks whilst you are in a state of wudu, of normal wudu. Okay, so you don't break wudu. You made wudu and then you put your socks on. And these socks should be, okay, as the second condition says, أن يكون ساترين لمحل غسل الفرد من القدمين. So these socks that you wear They should be socks that cover your entire foot above your ankle. Because when you wash your feet in wudu, you wash until your ankle. So it should be above your ankle. If your socks do not reach your ankle, then you cannot do wudu. You cannot do masf over them. You have to take them off to wash your feet. So you have these transparent socks, invisible socks, those tiny little socks. These are not proper. You should wear thick socks that cover your feet, and the socks should also be thick. So, firstly, you need to wear your socks in the complete state of wudu, and then these socks need to cover your entire foot until they pass your ankle, just as the parts where you wash where wudu is. So the third, I have no idea what is happening here, but let's go to the next one. Number 3. أن يكون مما يمكن تتابع المشي عليهما. So these socks should be socks that you are able to walk with them without shoes. So these are socks that if you were to walk in the sand, in the desert, you would be able to do that. We say desert because sand, because this is where the Prophet ﷺ lived. It was, at that time, we didn't have these roads made of how do you call that? Tar, Our roads today are much sturdier, and the chances of them ripping your socks are very high. But if you are walking on those old paved roads, old desert roads, then your socks would last much, much longer. Okay. So basically, your socks should be thick to the point that you can walk with them. Okay. For a day. You're able to walk with them for a day. Now you can't have wool socks; they must be very thick, and you will be able to do this. Or leather socks. Okay, the important thing is that they're not those very very thin socks that are transparent and that you can see your feet through them. This will not work. Now, so after we know the 3 conditions, which is firstly you must be in a state of complete wudu, and you wear your socks. Second, the socks have to cover your whole foot. And third, the socks must be sturdy. Sturdy means that you must be able to walk with them without shoes. Okay, not saying that you should, but if you could, if you wanted to, you could. Okay. Some scholars from the Hanafi madhabs add an additional condition, which they state that the socks cannot allow the passage of water. But this is the Hanafi madhab, and they really lack strong evidence to prove this. And the fact that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used wool socks and they did masah over them proves that the socks don't have to be waterproof. Okay? So now the author says, وَيَمْسَحُ الْمُقِيمُ يَوْمًا وَلَيْلًا. So if you are a resident, meaning you are not a traveler, you are not traveling anywhere, you're staying in the same place, you're in your hometown, then this masah is valid for 24 hours, for 1 day and 1 night. 24 hours. And this time starts to count when you break wudu. Okay? And then he says, وَالْمُسَافِرُ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ بِلَيَالِهِنَّ. And the traveler has the prerogative of remaining with the same socks for 3 days. 3 full days, 72 hours, 3 days with their respective nights. Okay? So for someone who's a resident, it's 24 hours. For someone who's a traveler, it is 72 hours. وابتدأ المدة من حين يحدث بعد لبس الخفين. And the time starts to count when you break your wudu. So you wear your socks. First you make your wudu, your normal wudu. Second, you wear your socks in the state of wudu. These socks are socks that cover your whole foot. These are socks that are thick, they're sturdy, that you can walk with them if you wanted to. Eventually, you're going to break wudu. Eventually, you're going to go to the bathroom. Eventually, going to release gas. When you do that, you don't need to remove your socks. Okay, you start counting from the time that you break your wudu. You count 24 hours if you're a resident, and if you're traveling, you count from that period 72 hours. So if I wear my socks at 7 a.m., I did my wudu, and I wore my socks at 7 a.m., and then I only broke wudu at 10 a.m., I can use those socks until 10 a.m. on the next day. And if I'm a traveler, until 10 a.m. on the third day. Now, and then the author says, فإن مسح في الحضر ثم سافر أو مسح في السفر ثم أقام أتم مسح مقيم. So he says, if you begin the mash when you are not traveling, and then you travel, or you do the mash whilst you are traveling, and then you return home, then what counts is the 24 hours. So when there's a dispute between a travel or non-travel, then what counts is the one of the resident, the 24 hours. ويبطل المسح بثلاثة أشياء, and there are three things that will break the masah. There are three things that when they happen, you must remove the socks. You have no option. First, بخلعهما. If you remove the socks willingly, you remove the socks, then the whole process is broken. You broke your wudu, you need to do wudu again, and you need to wear socks again to begin the whole process. In if the time expires, the 24 hours expires, then you need to remove your socks and you need to do wudu again. And if you're traveling for 72 hours. وَمَا يُوجِبُ الْغُسْلَ, and whatever obliges a bath. So if you have intercourse, if you have a wet dream, or anything that you must take a bath, then of course you need to remove your socks, because your wudu will not be valid whilst you have your socks on. Sorry, not wudu, your ghusl. Nah. So I don't want to start the topic of tayammum today because we will take some time to finish tayammum. Let me see if we have any questions regarding this topic of masal al-khuffayn. It will be very good if you told me about the questions that you. If you have any questions, inshallah. My speakers were off, they're on now. Madrasa chat. Let's see if there are any questions so far. Question for later. What was the reasoning behind why the socks do not have to be waterproof? The reasoning behind it is because the Sahabata radiyallahu anhum, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like Ali bin Abi Talib and others, they wear socks that were not waterproof. They're called Jawrabain. And they would be masked with these socks. Okay? So we don't have a direct statement from the Prophet, but we do have the practice of the Sahaba. The Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, they would use non-waterproof socks so long as they covered the whole foot, so long as they were thick and that you could walk with them. And they would do mash over these socks. So therefore, we conclude that it is not mandatory for the socks to be waterproof. Now, okay, I don't know if there are any more questions. I don't think so. If you guys have any more questions, please just, if you send Sister Zaina, she will send them to me on WhatsApp, as I am much more responsive on WhatsApp than I am on Discord. Barakallahu feekum. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for understanding for everything that was taught here today. So I don't know if this lesson was too short, but I don't want to start tayammum because that will be a long lesson. That will probably be 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And if we started today, we're going to end up quite late, and I don't want to keep you guys here. So, barakallahu feekum, inshallah ta'ala. We'll see you guys on the next lesson. And inshallah, we'll have our special programs for the month of Ramadan, which we are discussing with the admins of the groups. So, yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you guys later.